last Monday on cervical cancer awareness. Remember, January is Cervical Cancer Awareness Month, and we were privileged to speak to one of the survivors who shared with us her story, emphasizing on the need of screening. And we also touched on the importance of having young girls taking HPV vaccine as an early precaution. Well, this morning, we'll be talking about diagnosis and treatment of cervical cancer, and I'm joined by two guests in my immediate left. We have Irene Wanjiru Kongo, who is a cervical cancer survivor, and we also have Dr. Vincent Oyengo, a gynecologic oncologist who is very extreme and skilled in diagnosis and treatment of cancers of the female reproductive system, including, of course, the cervical cancer. Thank you, lady and gent, for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
I'm going to start with you, Irene. Perhaps you can give us your journey since you were diagnosed with cervical cancer.
Okay, I'll start with my name. I'm Irene Wanjiru Kongo from Juja sub-county. I'm a cervical cancer survivor. I was diagnosed in 2016. And mine was like godly, because it was like today. I was told by somebody, Irene, go and get screened. I took the step. When I went, I was found to be having cancer stage 2B. And from there, I started my treatment. But it was not easy. You know, this is not a jackpot that you just jump and say, I've gotten it. It scares. It scares even the family itself. They start, where shall we get money? I had lost my sister through lung cancer, and we had buried her 2 months before I was diagnosed with the cancer. So you can see people asking, who will be the next victim? What is this? What is this? You see? And even people bargain. We wish it was not cancer, it was something else. So that's how it was.
All right. Perhaps, Dr. if we can take from her sentiments when she was just told by a friend. And perhaps maybe there are ladies out there who fear even being told because they fear about the outcome of knowing that you have. Because for like I said last week, for some this is like death sentence. If you tell me right now that I'm having cancer, I'll be telling you, oh my God, Dr. how many days do I have to live? You're scared of that. She talks about also the stages. How many stages are there? And when it comes to her case, for example, her stage, how many stages are there, if you can talk us through it?
Okay, good morning, viewers, and thank you, Grace, for having me in your show. As Irene has put it, I mean, it's quite shocking or bad news to be told you have cancer. But one thing I like to reassure the viewers and the Kenyan population is cancer is treatable. Cancer is not a death sentence. What matters is that what stage is diagnosed. And one thing is the beauty about cervical cancer is one of the most preventable cancer we have in Kenya. The reason I say it's one of the most preventable is because we have screening method that can be screened. And she was lucky that she was told, as she said, it was godly, she was told to go and screen, and fortunately enough, she was discovered to have been cancer. So one is don't despair, don't give up. Our stage was stage 2B. Stage 2B is treated by radiotherapy. We have, of course, stage 1, stage 2, 3, and 4. All cancers basically are classified in stage 1, 2, 3, and 4. And like for a case, I'll confine myself to cervical cancer because that's the discussion we're having today, and that's my area of expertise. Is we have stage 1 and 2A can be treated by surgical means, that is surgery, by, of course, a specialist in that area, a gynecological oncologist. We have them in Kenya, in Mombasa, Eldoret, Nairobi, Kisumu. Even in Garissa right now, we have one lady who is a qualified gynecological oncologist. So from stage 2B for a case now to 4A is treated by radiotherapy and chemotherapy. Radiotherapy is a machine where you are put in and some treatment is administered to you, and also we're given chemotherapy together with the radiotherapy. And then, of course, stage 4B is terminal. And that's why most people confuse. Stage 4B is the one which you call terminal. It means it's not treatable. But the other stages are treatable. The only difference is the chance of survival. The lower the stage, the higher the chance of surviving. The higher the stage, the lower the chance of surviving. And the only stage which is not treatable, I like to re-emphasize, is stage 4B, which we call terminal cancer.
So, for example, if you get a patient right now and that is the stage that they are, what word do you give them if a person comes at that stage of cervical cancer?
Thank you for that question. First of all, I think we need to understand that cancer treatment is a marathon, is not a sprint, is a long term, is a journey. And you need a lot of course, support. I mean, moral support, spiritual, psychological, and financial support. And mainly, I mean, NHIF plays a role. Maybe we'll touch on NHIF later. So you find that first, we are trained professionals. Of course, we know how to break bad news. You can't just tell somebody from the blues that you have cancer. Yeah. There's a process we take them through in stepwise. We break it down in a layman's language, devoid of medical jargon, because for the layman to understand. And also involve the family, because family support is key in terms of what I mentioned, social, financial, moral support. Once you have told them, breaking it down that stage 1, these are chances of cure. We emphasize on the positive. The chance of cure, and God forbid, the chances of the disease coming back. And what it entails, the treatment, the side effects, the cost implication. And we try to also bring on board the psychologist to give them counseling, because it's key. I mean, anyone who is going to be told that they have cervical cancer, of course they'll be devastated, and they'll have some psychological impact on them. So we try to encourage them and give them the right information and the way forward, so that we go with them through the whole journey together with them.
Irene, before we get back to your story, Daktari, perhaps you can tell us what happens to my body after I get the cancerous cells. What really happens to my body?
So mainly cancer is, the body has normal cells. So when cancer enters into your body, it develops abnormal cells. And these abnormal cells multiply very quickly, distorting the normal anatomy of the body. Assuming if it's for the cervix, they become multiply, become abnormal, and then you start having symptoms like bleeding or discharge, or bleeding after sexual intercourse, bleeding in between your periods, and having some foul-smelling discharge, and of course pain. So many times, pain is the main thing that takes people to the hospital. Some people might ignore the discharge or the bleeding, and that's the emphasis of going to screening. If you qualify for screening, I assume that in the previous episode, maybe you touched on the screening methods elaborately.
All right, let's go back to Irene on your journey. Now you've already been told that you have cervical cancer. What came next after that?
After this news, as a human being, you start saying, so this is how my life was short. Because you don't see survival. We have so many people in the field talking about negative awareness about cancer. Cancer is not curable. Cancer is a curse. And so many stories there. So what you have by that time is the negative awareness. So you just see yourself dying. It takes God, it takes the grace of God to take courage and say, I'll survive this one. Yeah, I just say it takes the grace of God. You know, by our times, we didn't have people to counsel us. You just got the information because it's you and it's yours. And that was all. Although ulikuwa unaandikiwa barua unaambiwa enda kwa oncologist. Or to whom it may concern, even if inaandikagwa, to whom it may concern. Sasa wewe ndio utatafuta mwenye atakutibu. Yeah, that's how it was.
Daktari, it seems like times have changed now. If a patient comes to you, you've already diagnosed her with cancer, when does the treatment now start?
Thank you. Maybe before I touch on your question, I'd like just to re-emphasize on what Irene said. I mean, I applaud the media for bringing people like Irene, so that they can testify or give testimony that their cancer is treatable. They have managed to conquer or overcome the cancer, because there's a lot of misconception out there. As slightly put it, that cancer is a death sentence, and I told you cancer is not a death sentence. Cancer is treatable, is manageable, some are preventable, and as long as you have the right facilities, the right specialists, the right doctor, you can be treated. Yeah.
All right, you are to talk to us about if a patient comes, when, or is it immediate that the treatment starts?
So the treatment depends. So one thing is we need to be alive to is we have, the cancer cases are increasing. Right now is the third leading cause of mortality. I think after infectious disease, number 1, number 2 is non-communicable diseases, then cancer is number 3. All cancers put together. And maybe of importance is that cervical cancer is the leading cause of mortality among the cancer. So challenges are, one, the centers for managing cancers are few. Right now, at least, we have one in Eldoret, comprehensive. We mean comprehensive cancer treatment is where you have the right specialists, the right machines, and the right medicine. So we have one in Kenyatta National Hospital, where I work, Kenyatta University Teaching and Referral Hospital, which I think is the leading now in the region. We have MTRH, that's Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital. Coast General is coming up. They have radiotherapy, they have specialists there. We have one in Nakuru County Hospital. There's also a comprehensive cancer treatment center there. And also one in Garissa is coming up. So before then, it was, of course, I'm talking about the public hospitals. Of course, there's other private hospitals. Before then, the queues were insane. Like before, it was only Kenyatta. And you'll go there and you're told you'll start treatment after 4 months or 5 months. Then MTRH came in. Then now you have Kenyatta University Teaching Referral Hospital and others. So it depends on what facility. I can only speak for my facility, Kenyatta University Teaching Referral Hospital. There, once you have, of course, there are steps you have to be taken of diagnosis. First, you have to get a biopsy to confirm that is cancer. You have to do imaging. That is the MRI or a CT scan. Confirm the extent of the disease and the stage. After that, is what we call CT planning. The plan where they're going to give, if it's radiotherapy and chemo, they do the CT planning, then they schedule you. For our facility, the turnaround time is around 4 to 6 weeks. And the reason is we have one machine for radiotherapy, that is the external beam radiotherapy, and one machine for brachytherapy. Serving a population of, I don't know, about, I can't get the right figures, but it's a huge number of catchment area of Central, Eastern, and part of Nairobi come to KU. So of course the turnaround time will be higher. But if it's surgery, because there are two types of treatment: the surgery or radiotherapy and chemo. So if it's surgery, a turnaround time at KU is almost a month. Let's say 3 to 4 weeks. If you come today and you're scheduled for surgery, and that's my area of work, I can schedule you for surgery within 3 to 4 weeks if you have all the requirements. But again, the biggest challenge comes in is the NHIF. For the majority of Kenyans don't have NHIF. And maybe we're going to touch on that later in the show about the cost implication of the treatment of cancer. So you find it's not cheap. They have to go and look for funds. Challenges come in, a lot of other competing needs. But if you have NHIF, you have everything, you have all the investigations. For radiotherapy and chemo, 4 to 6 weeks. If it's surgery, 3 to 4 weeks will start. That is for Kenyatta University and Teaching Referral Hospital.
All right, Doctor, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm diagnosed with cervical cancer. Of course, my head is crazy because I'm a human being. Of course, I'm have so many questions. By the time I'm waiting for these 6 months or so, do you think I'm getting worse? Or what is the situation, that waiting time? Perhaps if you can elaborate.
Just to correct you, I said 4 to 6 weeks, not months. 4 to 6 weeks and 3 to 4 weeks for surgery. So, of course, as a patient, there's a lot of anxiety. Any normal person will go through the same process of anxiety and etc. and etc. But there's little we can do because there's queue. And sometimes we prioritize. If you see you are gravely ill, you are bleeding a lot, in a lot of pain. We do sometimes, of course, put a human faith and try to see how we can put places or mitigate those challenges. But again, specifically most of cervical cancer, the beauty about it is not an aggressive disease. Like, if we go back to the history of cervical cancer, it takes around, like, maybe from the HPV infection, it's around about 10 to 15 years for it to manifest as overt cancer. Mm-hmm. For it to progress, it's not an aggressive that within 6 weeks has gone to the other stage. Mm-hmm. So, of course, it doesn't progress that aggressively, but nonetheless, patients have anxiety, but again, our hands are tied because of the limited machines or specialists we have in the country.
Mm-hmm. And before we take that short commercial break, Dr. will be telling us about what the treatment entails. Talk to us about now when you started the treatment. How is the treatment journey for you?
Me, as Irene, what I can say, the journey was easy for me because my gyno, who noticed or who came to know that I have cancer, at least he encouraged me and told me, Irene, yours is okay. Mm-hmm. So he prepared my mind. Yours is okay. You shall be treated with the chemo, radiation, and brachytherapy. So I said, oh, wow, I'll get well. So I think what determines whether you'll be healed or you won't make it starts from the diagnosis. The message you get, the encouragement you get from your doctor. This matters so much because when you don't get encouraged and you take all this time before you get treated, there is that stress. And when you get stress, you know even your immune goes down and then the cancer cells get the chance to multiply. And this is why you find people saying, you get diagnosed with the cancer, you don't go beyond 6 months. Yeah. You see, because when the immune goes down, the cancer also multiplies. Ukona stress, what will happen of me? Unadiagnostiwa ukiwa na stage 2. By the time you are 6 months or 7, you are stage 4. Isn't it, Daktari? I think this is what goes on here.
Yeah. You're shaking your head.
Thank you.
Counseling.
I mean, one is, as she rightly put it, and I admire a lot for the courage she has and to fight this, to fight the cancer. The first step, of course, of fighting any disease or any challenge in life starts with the victim. Yeah. So, if the patient doesn't have the right attitude, doesn't seek a treatment from the right people or the right facility or the right specialist, of course, challenges are bound to happen. But maybe to break it down for the general population is for cervical cancer, first of all, like stage 1, you have like 80% chance, 80 to 90% chance of cure. Like for a stage, which was stage 2B, if she allowed me to, put it in public, she had like 70% chance of cure. And you can only talk about cure of cancer, of cervical cancer, after 5 years of completion of treatment. Let's say assume that for a case she completed treatment in 2022, or which I don't know which you completed treatment.
Mine was 2016.
2016.
Yeah.
Like now you can say confidently, she's cancer free. Because by 2021, if she had no recurrence, now confidently can now say Irene Kungu is cancer free. That's why people need follow up for 5 years after completion of treatment, so that they can qualify to be the stage or the phase where Irene is. And like for stage 3, you have like 40% chance of cure. Like out of 10 people with stage 3, 4 get cured, 6 get recurrence. Then stage 4A, like 2 people get cured, 8 it just comes back, despite getting the right treatment. So assuming you're not getting the right treatment, chances of cure are almost 0. And for stage 4B, there's no hope.